Question 1. What do you feel is your fiscal responsibility as a school board member?
Now, just in case you haven't heard, Jordan is conservative. I know he hasn't really gotten it out there. But unlike my opponent, I'm an independent thinker. I don't have an agenda. I can adapt to the situations that are demanded by our district and choose what is best for us. Not what's best for a political party or an ideology. Here's what I am. I'm fair. I want a fair deal for our teachers. I want a fair deal for our taxpayers. But I want the best deal for our kids. How do we achieve this? It's simple. We compromise. We acknowledge that some people are liberal, some people are conservative, and everything in between. I think it's what we do in spite of these differences that defines us. I don't want to be known as the conservative. I don't want to be known as the liberal. I want to be known as the guy who gets things done. I'm a business person. I've been in the private sector since before college, and I've been a business owner for over a decade. I look at the bottom line. Saving money is making money. I've weathered financial storms and I've come out the other end. I don't question my ability to apply what I've learned in the private sector to helping run a school. But my business background isn't the issue for some people. The issue is that I've been painted as some crazed liberal who will single-handedly bring back the unions and send us back to the dark ages with my wicked ways. It makes for a good narrative, but that's not me. I've never been in a union. I've never worked with a union. I've just had the audacity to collaborate with someone who did. Now that person is working tirelessly for this community, and I don't regret a second of it. But despite their best efforts, he doesn't define me. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait a minute, Tom, you supported the recall. This does not make sense. I had no personal stake in Act 10. My wife had even stopped teaching by then to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't agree with how the governor went about Act 10. I felt that approach tore the state in half. I felt it should have been debated on the campaign trail first. Look around us, we're still dealing with this conflict. That's why I supported the recall. Not that I expect you to agree with me, but that's my reasoning. My name's not in a database somewhere. I could have sidestepped this whole issue, but that's not me. I believe in integrity. I'm a sincere person, and I'm not going to sacrifice that to win a school board election. But that vote is over with. We're going to be talking about morale issues in a little while, and by constantly bringing this up, like Jordan has in the election, we keep ripping off this scab. It's like you beat someone in a basketball game 3 years ago and won't stop talking about it. Respectfully, it's time to move on. Act 10 was passed, the local union was decertified. It's 2014, it's now the way we do things. It's my hope we can focus on the future and not dwell in the past. The good thing is, as a business owner, this is the same way I've always negotiated with employees. It's old hat for me. I understand you need to be competitive to retain and attract quality individuals. I have the ability to help make that happen in a fair and balanced way. Now, as a school board member, I would be an advocate for the school district and the children. That's the job description. If I feel an initiative is going to be beneficial to our children, I'm not going to immediately axe an idea because there's a cost. It's my job as their advocate to go to you as a taxpayer and explain why it makes sense. That being said, I do understand our long-term success means we can't get everything we want in the short term. There has to be balance. There has to be compromise. It has to be fair to us all. As I see it, 4 of the 5 of the current board members are conservative. Yet we're still facing a major budget deficit in 3 years. Maybe it's time we focus less on labels and more on the individuals best qualified for these positions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. As you mentioned that I'm a conservative, I have no problem admitting that. Yes, I am a conservative. I know it's not a huge shocker. I do believe that that your background and what you believe in does matter a little bit. But getting back to the topic, what is fiscal responsibility? Fiscal responsibility does not mean that we have to stop spending money or that we cannot create new programs. Fiscal responsibility means that we need to focus on the needs more than the wants. Fiscal responsibility means when we need to spend some money, we need to look for new revenue sources whenever possible so we're not burdening the hardworking taxpayers. Fiscal responsibility means cutting out the programs that are not working. I'm going to focus on looking for new revenue sources. I think that many of the programs we currently have in place are very important for the children, and I do not want to take that away from them. I believe that if we can bring in more money to the district through fundraising, we will be able to take pressure off of the taxpayers and do what is best for the children at the same time. Because of Act 10, as he mentioned, we are able to keep our district running financially sound. The taxpayers, the teachers, and the board have many more options available to them. One example of fiscal responsibility, I'm sure many of you guys have seen our different flyers throughout the district. Tom's looks very, very nice, very professional, definitely respect it. Wish I could have spent money on that. And then you look at mine, just a little piece of paper, black and white, thing that you can just toss away that I'm sure many people have. I didn't spend much money on mine. He spends a lot of money on his. If he's willing to spend his own money on a flyer, imagine what he's going to do with your taxpayers' dollars. As a board member of the Browns Lake Aqueducts, one of our main concerns is fundraising. We have an established fundraiser where we take out and install piers for homeowners on Browns Lake. One of our biggest issues was getting members to show up and help with their busy schedules. As a board member, I thought there was a problem and wanted to find a solution. With the old way of our piers, we would spend about 10 hours for about 12 weeks a year taking out and putting in piers. I decided that we should set it for 3 days of work and work through the entire day. I know that sounds crazy, less days, and we're going to try to get all that done, but on our first day at our pier fundraiser, we were able to get 35 to 40 members to show up and help, and we were able to get that pier fundraiser done ahead of schedule, and now we're able to take on more piers and bring in more revenue to the team, something we've never been able to do before. So that's one of the things that I kind of started with the team, just to show that it's not just a big idea, it's, I've proven that I'm able to do it. Thank you.
I got a guy for the flyers. I'll get you his number. You won't believe how cheap they were. But thanks for the compliment. On his site, Jordan says, and I quote, "I will never vote to raise taxes." On another page of his site, Jordan states, and I quote, "I am not afraid to make the tough and unpopular decisions when it is in the best interest of the Waterford Graded School District." So I have to ask, which is it? Since he's already made a promise to the taxpayers, I guess the tough decisions are being saved for the kids. Look, these make for great campaign slogans. I'd love to get up here and tell you the same thing, but I don't own a crystal ball. I don't deal in absolutes. Based on Jordan's promise, the best thing since sliced bread could come along. Guaranteed to raise our kids' test scores by 50%. The bad news is it's going to cost the taxpayers an additional $1 a year in taxes. Now, based on Jordan's philosophy, he would have to vote no for that. But I'm sure it'll be a tough decision for him. Now, I know that's a stretch, but hopefully you can see my point. The world isn't black and white. Not everything can be solved in a yes or no answer. Based on Jordan's statement, he couldn't even vote to raise taxes for inflation. I don't want to raise taxes. I already pay a ton in taxes myself. But I'm not going to get up here and insult your intelligence and tell you something like that when we're facing a huge budget deficit in 3 years and make you a promise that I can't keep. And I'm not going to pass the buck to the other board members and make them do it. We just need to be fair and balanced and compromise. Thanks.
I don't think that we necessarily have to raise taxes to get new funding into the school system. I think there are other avenues we can look at. There's different approaches we can take. Right now, Waterford is probably, I believe, the second highest taxed district within our area. So I don't think that raising taxes is necessarily the answer. We already tax our people way more than we already should. So I do believe there are other options, and I do plan to look at them.